What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to another video of the Point After podcast. Here today talking about the Florida State Seminoles coming off, I think, 8-13 their last two seasons, the first two under Coach Mike Norvell. And this is going to be a really, really good Florida State team. My fear is that it may not translate to their record. I'll get into all that in just a little bit. I will say I do think Florida State reaches a bowl game this year, their first time under Coach Norvell. Norvell truly is turning the program around. I just hope this isn't a Brian Harsin situation where they fire him before they can really see it come to fruition. Getting into the recruiting in the offseason for Florida State, hell of an offseason. Round of applause for Florida State. You get the number 20 recruiting class bringing in 6 4-stars, the number 11 portal class bringing in 2 4-stars, and you also have the number 11 class in returning production. That's really, really good news for Florida State fans. Now, there is some discrepancies and things that are also concerning about Florida State. You only passed the ball 28 times per game last year. That's not really going to win you games in the ACC this year. I'm sorry, it's just not. Especially when you have Jordan Travis, a quarterback who's dual threat. I understand that. He can beat you with your legs. So utilize that. Make people think you're going to throw the ball and then have Jordan Travis run it for 30 yards. So additionally, you do bring back last year you had 3 500-yard rushers. So that's in your back pocket. You can utilize the ground game, but when you look at Miami and Tyler Van Dyke, you look at Pitt with Keaton Slovis, you look at Clemson with Klubnik or DJ, depending on who starts. You look at NC State with Devin Leary. You look at Wake Forest if Sam Hartman's back. There's a lot of good quarterbacks in this ACC this year. They're not going to run the football. I'm sorry, they're just not going to do it. And on top of that, you bring in 4 Power 5 transfer wide receivers. Utilize them. Use them. That is going to be a strength of your team. They're there for a reason. Throw them the football. You also went 5-2 in 2021 with Jordan Travis at quarterback, so that's good news for you. Running back Trayshawn Ward averaged 6.5 yards per carry last year, so that's good news. Again, you have the backs capable of winning games, but you're going to have to compete. You're going to have to put up some points, especially when you play Louisville in week 3. Or when you go to New Orleans to play LSU, you're going to have to put up points if you want to win. And that's not discrediting Louisville's defense at all. There's just some really good offenses this year, especially in the ACC and on your schedule. The biggest thing in 2021, and this could be part of the run game, everybody knew you weren't going to throw the ball, so they could key in on the run game, and you spent a lot of times behind the sticks. You ranked almost last in the nation in terms of yards giving up through tackles for loss. So if you open it up a little bit, throw it more on first down, make people guess what you're going to do, they won't be so keen on teeing off on you and causing those tackles for loss. And then lastly, you got to keep up the red zone percentage that you did last year. The red zone offense was flawless, hitting on 90%. And then also scoring touchdowns in 74% of your red zone trips. That's pretty damn good. And I think Florida State fans know that. College football fans know that. That's where you have to continue thriving if you are Florida State, especially after going 3-4 in one-possession games last year. Flipping over to the defense for just a second, you return most of your two deep. You return 90% of your defensive production. It's really, really good news. Really, really good news. I believe you have the same defensive coordinator that you've had the last 2 years, so he's going on year 3. Everybody's familiar with the system at this point. Defense, like I said, I'm not discrediting them at all. I'm saying the offenses in the ACC are so good that you're going to have to rely on your offense and have that defense come up with a few stops, which I'll talk about in just a second. You also get UCF linebacker, don't want to mispronounce his name, Tatum Bethune, 108 tackles last year in 2021, transferring in to reunite with the co-defensive coordinator. So that should be, just another plug-and-play kind of guy. He'll come in and have an immediate impact. And then you were 67th in points per game last year in 2021. And I want to pull up the schedule really quick and just check and see. I believe most of those points per game were even front-loaded. Yeah, so you give up 41, 20, 35, and 31, and then you don't allow over 31 points the rest of the year. So that's really good. You give up over 31 plus 3 out of your first 4, not counting Jacksonville State, and then you don't allow over 30 again the rest of the season. So keep that up this year, and you should be all right. Pulling up their schedule for this year, though, 2022. Here we go. You open up with Duquesne, I believe is how you pronounce it. So if you're a Duquesne fan, I'm sorry. That's a win for Florida State. The over-under is set at 6.5, and I said it earlier, Florida State will see a bowl game this year. After Duquesne, you go to LSU, and I'm not saying you go to Baton Rouge, but you go to LSU. You're playing LSU in the Superdome. I'm sorry, Florida State may be a better talented team than LSU at that point. They may be the better talented team on paper. They may be the better team in that venue that night. They're not winning that football game. I'm sorry. I'd love to see them win that game. You give them a neutral field. You give them at in Tallahassee. Florida State would win that football game. LSU's a different beast playing in their stadium on Sunday night. I thought it was Labor Day, but it's Sunday night. That's going to be a game to watch, ladies and gentlemen. And you're going right back to another game to watch 5 days later when you go, 12 days later. I guess you get a bye week after that, where you go play Louisville. Now, Louisville is, again, one of those games that you're going to have to put up points. Louisville's offense returns, I should have this handy. It's kind of all just coming to me. The 6th rank offensive returning production, returning 90% of their offense. That's basically the flip of your defense. It is the flip of your defense. So you're going to have to score points in that game if you want to keep pace with Louisville. It's also at home. It's a 3-point shift always towards the home team, rightfully so in this situation. Then you play Boston College and Wake Forest. If Sam Hartman is out, that should be 2 back-to-back wins for Florida State. So I'm saying right now you're working at 4-1, 3-2. Worst case, 3-2. Then you play North Carolina State and Clemson. And here's the thing that scares me about these games. You're going to get one or two things. Here's what you're going to get. There is no one or two. Here's what you're going to get. One of those teams are going to be very, very pissed off because they just lost to the other one on October 1st when you beat Wake Forest. And they have to win out to have any chance of making it to the championship game for the ACC while hoping the other team loses 2. Okay? So, I'm sorry, but I don't think you win both of those games. You may could slip away with catching the winner of that NC State-Clemson game on a hangover. I don't think you win both, especially going at NC State. Then you play Georgia Tech. I think you win that one. At Miami, I think at that point in the season, Miami's potentially playoff, but Miami's ACC championships are on the line at that point. Could you upset them? Absolutely. Do I think you will? I don't think so. I think Miami will have a good idea of their identity at that point in the season. I'm taking Miami at home. Then you play Syracuse, Louisiana, and Florida. So if you count the losses here, I'll give you a win over either LSU or Louisville. I won't give you both, so that's one loss. Losses versus North Carolina State, Clemson, and Miami. So really the 3 teams that are favored to win the ACC. That's setting you at 8-4. Okay, if you beat Florida, you're 8-4. If you lose to Florida, you're 7-5. That's a damn good year for Florida State. Okay, I said in the beginning, you're a good team. You're going to have a good season. The record will not reflect how good Florida State is. And I'm sorry if you disagree with me. Let me know in the comment section if you do. That's just how I see it. You know, it's August 24th. I'm on the outside looking in. I may change my entire perspective by October 8th when you play NC State. NC State may completely bust. Clemson may completely bust. Miami may completely bust. No one knows. It's August. This is preseason. About week 3 or 4, everybody's preseason predictions get redone. Look at North Carolina last year. Look at Iowa State last year. Look at Michigan State last year. Whatever everybody thinks in the preseason of these teams can be thrown out the window most of the time by week number 5. And that's the beauty of college football. So Florida State fans, it's going to get better. I promise you that. There is a lot of upside to Mike Norvell and Florida State. You're trending in the right direction. You're going to go from 5-7 to hopefully 7-5. I'll take that over at 6.5 at -135. I'll take the over. I'll get Florida State 7 wins, finishing 7 and 5. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please be sure to hit that subscribe button. We just passed 100, I think 2 days ago, and we're already climbing towards 115. So thank you guys for tuning in. Again, let me know what your record predictions are for Florida State, and I'll be happy to see you in the bowl game.